You know
what's
that whole
that?
situation with YouTube views? Well, now we've got a bit of a resolution to it, as well as a bunch of things that are going to impact your experience directly.
Yep.
So, YouTube
Here we go, boys.
themselves is not to blame for the view count thing, at least not entirely, because the truth is that something did change, and thanks to investigative coders, we actually know exactly what happened to all
Oh,
of
that
those.
guy's
But
awesome.
it's not the end of the story,
I
because
should
we need
react
to
to
talk about
stuff.
YouTube's ecosystem. It is changing, and there is a climate of pressure that is, well, making creators think that a lot of these AI experiments are going to be dangerous to their livelihood. Goddamn, YouTube recently had an event where they announced so many features that kind of just look like shitty AI slop. Ever look at the greats in YouTube and wonder, how do they get those silky transitions or that cinematic B-roll?
AI.
Today's sponsor, Storyblocks, is a huge part of the equation, and it's a bit of kit that I wish I had years ago. So here's what it actually is. Unlimited access to stock video, music, sound effects, and this bit's the I'll be using it again. So whether you're just starting out or you're trying to level up your production, check out storyblocks.com. I'll begin in the views thing though. So YouTube gave an update on the situation a few days ago. There's a link in the description, and just like we suggested, restricted was not the sole culprit here. Now, they confirmed no meaningful change in the population of the restricted mode recently, and that it's a separate feature from the age protection rules. But here's the key part. They are, quote, not using AI to automatically enable restricted mode for viewers. And according to YouTube, all their systems are working correctly, and they weren't trying to gaslight everyone. But they did suggest that the problem could be multifaceted. They said they couldn't explain the view count drop with one answer. So, what could it be? There have been theories, maybe a return to baseline performance, maybe back to school, which I think a lot of us would disregard out of hand as the causal factor here. Maybe it's a better competition between creators. It could be those, but various creators have already debunked these things to various degrees as being universal problems. But YouTube suggested something else, ad blocking software, that might be impacting view reporting accuracy. Now, importantly, they framed
so now they're just making the content creators suffer. That's what's going on.
Specifically,
so if you're watching stuff and you have an ad blocker, then it's affecting you.
Change in how YouTube counts views. No, it seems the problem is actually somewhere else. Now here's the thing, YouTube still counts views that they can see. But as it turns out, many of your views have been invisible to them, and even right now are invisible to them, even if you are watching this video. Yes. You could be watching my face, thinking that you are viewing a thing on YouTube, and that view would be counted. But actually, there's a massive chance it isn't. So, one day after YouTube's post, YouTuber Theo Joe took them at their word. You know, if the problem wasn't YouTube's fault, then it must be somewhere else. And that triggered a memory. You see, he had once blocked some YouTube telemetry URLs that were tracking user activities. The result? He kept getting recommended a video, as if he had never watched it. Then some digging found more evidence. Ad blockers like uBlock Origin work through a block list of URLs, and that block list got updated with text blocking youtube.com/API/stats/ATR.
I think I remember seeing this somewhere.
This was merged into the adblock extensions, August 12th. Right when the problem was first noticed. So, yeah, give yourself a gold star if you guessed that one right. As Theo Joe put it, this kind of explains everything, including a lot of the things that I put forward in my initial coverage.
So it was indeed the ad block, and it's going to continue being the ad block.
Views were the only ones being impacted, that RPMs were staying the same, of course, because the disappearing views came from users with adblock, and that relative like ratios were going up because interaction tracking was still working. Others validate this theory. Jeff Geerling, another YouTuber, dug into the same evidence, and he noticed that this URL was added and then removed from the block list back in 2021. Meanwhile, Scratchy, the original dev who added the URL, created a guide for manual overrides. Some people won't want this tracker for privacy reasons, but yeah, the impact on creators did have everyone spooked, and justifiably so. Look, this doesn't appear to be YouTube's fault. That's kind of why we're talking about it today in this way. And in the last video, look, I left the door open for an answer because I had a bunch of theories, and ultimately I did think it was adblock related, but we didn't just completely know yet. And this brings up a core tension. We're dealing with an audience avoiding advertisements, and I get it. They're annoying. Now, the knock-on effect on views, well, that is something that everyone needs to factor into sponsor conversations. because now sponsors will be getting loads of views that YouTube can't track. And that's a little bit of a problem because
you're not getting paid for it. That's the problem. All those views that you're getting, you're not getting paid for them.
well, if it's a burnt-in sponsor, people will be...
Which is detrimental to channels like mine, where I could be getting more views than I'm aware of, but because they're not being tracked because of the ad block, I'll never know, and then YouTube won't count them, which means that I won't get the money for those views.
Seeing that. So actually, this informational asymmetry is something that plays into the hands of sponsors and definitely plays against creators.
Yeah,
There's
I mean,
a reason,
it would.
right? There's a reason why creators immediately feared the worst when YouTube started acting weird. Because it's not even the first time they've been weird this year. My frustrations with YouTube have just been kind of bubbling up over the last while. And during the summer, we were working on a video that had the working title, How YouTube Broke Our Channel, and Why You Might Not Have Noticed. And that was actually months before the view count problem started, and we were writing it because we got huge amounts of complaints from loads of videos of AI-generated auto-dubbing that was happening for non-English speaking viewers. Or should I say, viewers with a language not set to English, even if they would prefer to listen to someone who speaks English speaking in English versus a robo-dub.
That's
Very
weird.
bizarre thing. And as it turned out, we had been opted into YouTube's system automatically. We then had to manually deactivate it for multiple videos before we were then able to fully deactivate it. Of course, meanwhile, a lot of viewers probably thought that we were being cheap and that we didn't give a shit about quality, which is annoying, and it shakes our faith that YouTube...
I don't really like that mentality because it sets a standard for every YouTube channel. If you don't have the time or the money to sit there and get an editor or somebody to sit there and type out every single fucking word you say, like, you're setting a standard that not other people can... You're essentially pulling up the ladder, is what you're doing.
Actually understands things from our perspective. You can see how some random fucking product manager who wants to hit their flippin' OKR for the course, who actually understands the scope of their job and can then tastefully use the AI thing to help their job. As an example, there have been some cool things regarding video ingest and like tagging and stuff to improve the shitty bits of editor workflows. That's the sort of thing that's great, but a complete contrast to the other side of AI being used in video, which is just the infinite generation of weird slop videos, which I'm sure...
I would love to be able to use AI to edit stuff. Absolutely. Like, if I could use AI to edit my videos, I would have so much more time to stream. Like, and that's kind of why, like, I'm kind of stuck right now until I get either an editor or, you know, I'm able to get some kind of thing to help me edit my videos out to make them more algorithm friendly. I'm just kind of stuck in like a death loop until things get better.
You have all seen far too much of. Now, if you take a look at YouTube Studio, you can see this. It's the inspiration tool. It's awful, guys. It is awful. It suggests ideas, titles, and thumbnails.
These are terrible. Yes, I've seen these.
Titles. YouTube's are bad. Really bad. They were clearly implemented by people who don't actually know what they're doing because they're probably...
I've read a couple of these whenever I saw some of these videos. It very much so, like, it's so weird. It's like a way for YouTube to make a little money on the side. It's like a side hustle for YouTube. And if you watch or you see any of these, like, they're just so weird. They don't seem right.
Not creators. They're probably not customer facing and customer first. For shorts, you can now generate backgrounds for any audio that you want. Same goes for AI prompts when you look at the comments.
That's crazy.
Yeah, YouTube doesn't even want us responding to you in our voice. Seriously, whenever I scroll into comments in YouTube Studio, there's just all these little auto replies that it's generating.
I don't ever use those.
Yeah, good idea. Now, what that does is allow me to give you the appearance that I am interacting with you. And that's just really fucking unethical. But here's the thing. As of last week, all of this stuff just got messier. So, just days after confirming they hadn't changed view count rules, YouTube unveiled new systems at their Made on YouTube event. And look, some of these are great. We can now test multiple thumbnails and titles properly. Now, we've been able to ABC test thumbnails for ages, but that's only so useful because, you know, a title and a thumbnail should be going together instead of one title and 3 thumbnails. So that's a really good tool. And there's some other useful stuff that, I mean, is cool, doesn't really work for us. Stuff like tagging multiple creators in videos, and there are live streaming changes that allow for live reactions, better ads, and better discoverability. And there are better moderation tools where they will flag where your face is being
Really, there's live stream reaction stuff now? How does that work? Now I'm curious.
recreated.
I'll have to look
basically
into
to
that.
fight misinformation. So look at that. A good use of AI and ML stuff. But there is more. Google.
There's always negatives with this. They can't ever seem to get it right.
Its value. And I almost feel bad for Demis in a way. It's as if, you know, dude gets passionate about the computer science, wants to solve some real hard problems. And what's it used for? What does the company take it and use it for? Oh, weird slop things. And this does kind of suck. Though I'll start with a slightly more innocuous one, where there's now a chatbot in YouTube Studio that's basically there to give creator support and analysis. I certainly wonder what would have happened whenever all the view counts were going down and someone asked this chatbot. I have a feeling it really wouldn't have a clue. But you know what? Some people find pages upon pages of analytics a little daunting, so maybe this is a relatively innocuous use of the tech. But now for the bad stuff. There's a new feature where shorts can be entirely AI generated. Fantastic. What if nothing was real? I'm sure users would love that. And when I say entirely generated, I mean that including moving images and songs. You can also edit your footage with AI, and on full videos, they're expanding their auto-dubbing with lip-syncing services. I don't think that will go well. I think it'll go straight to the uncanny valley, and don't put my face in that shit. But what's weirdest to me is this. Does YouTube really need more content? Like, do they need content so bad that they're happy for it to be basically just fake generated slop? I mean, it almost seems like that, to the point where now I find it harder to find the videos that I actually want to watch, because whenever I refresh...
You know, I already know the kind of argument that people are going to have with this. It's going to be just like whenever they started doing this thing with these content the artists saying, well, I don't want this because I'm going to lose my job. Well, I finally started making a little tiny bit of money. I'm not even at my first payout yet. And as far as I'm concerned, AI is still the way of the future. That's all there is to it. You can sit here and combat it all you want, but at the end of the day, AI is going to pave the way for the future. A human can only live for about, I'll stretch it, for about like 80 years. About like that long. That's reasonable. An AI tool can last for thousands of years. As long as more people keep feeding it knowledge, it'll continue to polish and grow and be better and come up with more physics and stuff that we can't, as humans, get to, because we no longer have Albert Einsteins. We no longer have Thomas Edison's. We don't cultivate a society that allows people like Thomas Edison and brains of that culture to thrive anymore. We no longer cultivate that culture. AI, on the other hand, will.
My homepage and browse about, I see so many slop videos and slop channels. Sometimes they're in my recommended box, even though they've got like 300 views and are clearly of no quality. Yet YouTube still puts them in my face, and now
I don't really like that mentality either. Like, that's how a channel grows and becomes better, you know? Is by giving them more views. I actually am very glad that they fixed the recommended, because before a little bit before August, I was getting quite a bit of views. Now, I think that between that jackass striking me and this stuff that happened in August, that I still feel like I'm still getting quite a bit of views on some of the videos, even though they're not technically being registered. But I also feel like it's better. It's better, and it promotes new content creators. I'm sorry that not everybody can hire an editor that edits their stuff to a T to fit YouTube's algorithm That's just not feasible for some people. It just can't happen. Like, and not to mention, some people have to juggle a normal job that's 9 to 5, so they don't have the amount of time to just sit there and do a whole lot of work and effort on a video that the algorithm's not going to show. I did that so many years of like editing down so much content for a video, spending a week on one video, and then I post it and it gets like 30 views. It's disheartening, it's demoralizing, and it's disgusting. And to hear him say that, it's just kind of like a slap in the face. Honestly, that's why I went from posting once a week to like fucking like 4 up to 16 videos a day off of a stream. It's because like the algorithm, the way it plays is that anything anything could be a banger, anything. So it's just kind of like, it's easy for a big content creator to sit there and say that, but whenever you're struggling and you're trying to get views, you'll take whatever you can clamor at whenever it comes to this. It's disgusting. It's some of these people just straight up got lucky because a bigger content creator that they just so happen to know through someone else, or they just so happen to get pulled up because of a video they did. It's like, well, I'm happy for them, but what about the people that don't have that? What about the people that are trying desperately to make money off of this so that way they can get out of their shitty 9 to 5 job and actually live a life? Like, what about those people? It's so easy for people to say that. So easy for content creators that have already made it to say, well, it's only got 300 views, so it's slop. Or how do you know that's not an upcoming content creator? That's fucked up. Like, that's just terrible to say. And I'm not saying that against Bellular News. I think he's awesome. He makes fantastic videos, and I'm happy for him. But I guarantee you he doesn't sit there and edit out his own videos. He sends it off to an editor. But I'm not mad at him. Great W that he figured out what was going on. Awesome video. Fantastic video. We are going to swap over to some Borderlands now.